Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blog. So let's get to it. All right, you guys, first story up. So all the talk was about the Smith family yesterday, specifically Jada Pinkett Smith. Will be in an interview tonight. Actually, it airs tonight. Hoda Kotb actually was able to score an exclusive interview with Jada Pinkett Smith. She is out now promoting her new book. It's called Worthy. All right. And it is her autobiography that she penned, and it will be coming out, I think they said October 17th. All right. And very much like Will Smith's autobiography that came out a couple of years ago, and he did a huge press tour release for it. Jada Pinkett Smith is now having her turn. They had already told us before that book came out, in that book, and afterwards, that she was going to be having her book next. And I was very curious, and am very curious, and I am going to ask the Roxy Reads Book Club to definitely let's read this book. I know that they're probably like, Roxanne, we are so tired of the Smiths, but I want to read it. The interview comes on tonight, and but of course they have dropped the scene-stealing clips from the interview, and the one that is going around that's gained all the traction and has gone viral basically is the part where Hoda tells her that she was reading the book and that she didn't believe it, and that she actually had to look Jada in her eyes and ask her right then, like, was this true? You know, and while she's asking Jada, of course, Jada's sitting over there, you know, in her Confucius, her very knowledgeable, deep self. You know, she's just like, so from 2016, you mean to tell me that you and Will Smith have been separated? Yes, completely separated and living completely separate lives. Okay, they never told us this. So for the last 7 years, she and Will Smith really haven't been together. Okay, now on paper they are still married and still happily married, but in real life, let Jada tell it, they have not been together for 7 years. And so when Hoda asked her, like, why was it that they still stayed together even when they, I mean, in the public eye, even when they aren't together, like, why did they do that? And she said, well, it was basically them still trying to figure out, you know, what they wanted to do in this marriage, you know, how they wanted to be seen from the public and all of that. And then, of course, the commitment that these two have made to each other, you know, they wanted to honor that. So there's a lot of reasons why they have now decided that they will never, ever get a divorce. Now, they're going to stay together because that's what it was asked. That was what the request was. We stay together till our dying day, even though they are separated and living separate lives. So my opinion on this is, now let me just say, you guys know I always champion the marital home, you know, and I think that the commitment is important and all of this, but I'm gonna just keep it real with you guys. It ain't that hard, okay? So the thing is, these two seem very miserable with each other. Why is it that you guys are fighting for something where it's both making both of your lives so miserable? If you read Will Smith's book, then you would understand of their relationship a little bit more. Those two, Will Smith is a lot, okay? And he requires a lot to even be able to be around him. In his book, he basically tells us that his family got sick of him at some point because he's always just been too much, okay? Jada and the kids, not even just Jada, and them damn kids, okay? So they were sick of him, and so yes, I can see how they probably are all over Will. But to me, it's just sort of like, if you are this miserable in your marriage, like, you don't have to, why are you still trying to stay together? Like, I don't think that this is the example that you should be trying to push forward to, is that we gonna stay together no matter what. Now, we already know that I mean, at the end of the day, it's their marriage, so they can do whatever they want. So I'm not saying that this is what they should do, but what I'm saying is, y'all didn't, you know, at least we know about her extramarital affairs with August Alsina. All right, I'm assuming that happened during these 7 years where she wasn't supposedly with Will Smith. And there's always been rumors about Will Smith, you know, basically falling in love with almost every leading woman that he works with, you know. So it's just sort of like, you guys have had all these other things where at least at some point another person made you happy. So why is it that you don't have to work this hard to stay married. If you got to work this hard, then maybe you don't need to be together, because why y'all miserable trying to be, but like, just to keep saying that we still married, but I'm over here fucking this other man and he over here with this other woman and they got a, you know, a whole nother life going, but then we still married. That, it makes no sense. Makes no sense. Okay. What I did find interesting though was when she was talking about the slap that Will Smith did, and I had told you guys that I felt like Jada Pinkett Smith was shocked and that she was uncomfortable and that she was going to let Will Smith handle that she was not going to get involved. And that's exactly what she said. I was just like, I knew it because it's common sense. She said that she thought that it was a skit and she didn't realize that Will was serious until he came back. So when she laughed, she kind of thought that this was part of the skit. But when he was coming back and she actually saw his face, then she realized that he was serious. Okay. And so then the laughter was a little bit nervous almost, because it was just sort of like, oh my God, did he just slap Chris Rock on national TV at the fucking Oscars? You know, so she had to keep her decorum and keep herself together and all. But even she knew that that was a big ass mistake that he had did. Okay. And you guys all still want to say that he was protecting Jada Pinkett Smith. I don't really think that that's what Will Smith was doing at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I believe it was more personal in the fact that Will Smith felt like people are always testing him. He said it in his book. He's always felt like bad because he did not protect his mother from his father, who used to beat her up. And so that has had a very deep impression on him, because he's written about it extensively in the book. All right. So that had a big mark in his life. So now you've got yet another person testing Will Smith, seeing how tough he is, even though Chris Rock was just telling a joke or whatever. But the way that Will Smith heard it and processed it is that here, once again, somebody else is testing his manhood. So that is more the reason why Will Smith went up there and did it. I don't think that it had much to do with Jada Pinkett Smith, her alopecia or whatever. Do I believe that Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia? I don't know. Like she's always had, I mean, it's not up to me to even say whether or not it's true. All I know is she still has hair. It's just fuzz because she keeps her hair cut very low. But you know, usually when you see people with alopecia, they bald. Okay? It ain't no hair there. So I don't even, you know, I don't know what the full diagnosis is for alopecia and all of that. But to me, I think that people change the narrative and change that story to make it work and fit for them so that they can continue to be mad at Chris Rock for what he said about Jada Pinkett Smith. Okay? It's just my opinion. Please don't get down there. You can disagree, but anyway. I just don't understand why they are working this hard to stay together if they are miserable together. It's not, I am telling you guys that you don't have to do that. I'm saying make a serious commitment and try to fight for your marriage. But 7 years lying to the public and living full, completely different lives, like now you trapped in another box. Now you have another thing that is keeping you captive, because, or not captive, keeping you, this now you have to act within this story instead of living your real true life, you know? So you still are not really living your truth. when you have to lie about it, like, if you really want to be free, then you tell everybody, like, me and Will are no longer together. We free. We both can do what we want to do. Okay? But yeah, this whole, bitch, you making shit way too more difficult than it needs to be. It ain't that difficult. Okay? I'm never going to tell somebody to stay with somebody on paper, but live a completely different life. You know, either you're going to be with them, or you going to break up from them. Free them up so that they can do, and you can do whatever you want to. What is this? What is this? And then what if you meet the man or the woman of your dreams, but now you tied to this motherfucker still, and you can't get, like, no, I don't think anybody should have that kind of life either, you know? So I'm just like, girl, it ain't even that, it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. You guys, yes, we loved you guys as a couple. You guys had some beautiful kids, you know, and the whole unit and all of that. I get all that. But really and honestly, you can just let it go. Anyway, you guys will have to let me know what you think about it. Yes, I do plan on reading the book. Like I said, it comes on October 17th. And I'm sure there will be more bits because, you know, the way that they do is they just release like the most shocking parts of the book to talk about it. And then, you know, that's the same thing they did with Will's book. And by the time we got Will's book, we felt like we already knew all of the shit, you know, that he was talking about. But there were a lot more things in that book that we did not know about Will Smith. So we learned quite a bit about Will Smith. So I think that Jada's book, we might be the same, you know. But yeah, I just want to say to the Smiths, really, you know, thank you. We appreciate the fact that you guys feel that you need to stay together for us, but you really don't have to. Y'all go on and find your own happiness and stop being miserable with each other. Because that just seems like what that is. Okay, her saying that Chris Rock even asked her out back in the day. You know, people are saying, oh, maybe that had some element towards why, you know. Child, I don't know. All I know is I'm sick and tired of finding out about Will Smith and Jada's shit after the fact. It's sort of like, if you guys was going to keep the secret, then keep the secret. We don't even need to know. Okay? So this whole entanglement with August Alsina back in, you know, it's a couple of years ago, and now she dropping this new bomb on us. It's just sort of like, oh God, girl, y'all just, yeah, Jada and Will is a lot, child. Will you guys be reading her book Worthy?
You keep it natural, stay in your bag like you wearing.
All right, guys, next story up. Drake. Drake is very, very upset with Joe Budden. And the reason why that he is upset is because he just recently released an album. The album is called For All the Dogs. Okay. And I haven't listened to the album, so I couldn't tell you whether or not this album is juvenile or not. But suffice it to say that I've heard enough people talk about Drake's new album and people saying that this album is for the younger generation, and it is just more of the same bullshit that we've been getting on the radio these days. Some people are even stepping out and saying that Drake has, you know, lost his zhuzh or whatever it is that he has. And that has made him to become like this hit maker, this billionaire hit maker that he, you know, that he's been all this time. People are saying that he's lost it and all of that. Listen, I still believe that Drake is an incredible rapper. I think that he still stands out as, you know, one of the top rappers of today. Like, I still have extreme respect for Drake in his craft. Okay. But what I can say of music today, just in general, is it all sounds like bullshit to me. So Drake kind of just fits in with the rest of what everybody else is doing. Okay. But I guess some people expect more from Drake because he's Drake. Okay. We don't expect Drake to put out bullshit, but that is what at least Joe Budden has said. Actually, what Joe Budden said was that he felt like Drake is catering to the younger audience, that Drake needs to continue to give his fans, which is more of the 30, you know, the fans have grown with Drake. So, you know, Drake is in his 30s, so his fans are going to be somewhere in their 30s or up more, you know, or higher too, you know. But he still has younger fans as well. He's in that very precarious place where you start to find yourself. Most men usually don't have to deal with it as much as women. Like, women see more their age and shit. Like, they can see how society reacts to them and treats them as they get older when they work in the music industry. Like, you can see, like, it's not as acceptable. Older men can still be in the music industry more than older women are. Oh, I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. And so Drake, you know, now that he's got to kind of cater to this audience that's older up here and this younger audience down here, like maybe he's having a hard time. Maybe he's in like a weird space. So Joe Budden's advice to him when the album came out, he said he listened to the album and he was listening to it and he was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, he is a grown ass man. He needs to stop hanging around all these young ass kids. You know, we've been seeing him walk around with them fucking barrettes or hair clips in his hair, rainbow color. And it's so inauthentic to Drake. Like, when I look at him with that on, I'm just thinking to myself, like, now what exactly is the purpose of this? Like, we know that you don't wear hair clips. Just like, what is it? Like, are you just trying to get attention? It feels very attention grabbing. Something that Drake didn't used to do. He didn't need to do that. He didn't have to do stunts and shows because he's Drake, you know, but these barrettes and this new hairdo that he's doing, and just, it feels kind of young, right? It feels immature and young acting. So he said that he needs to, you know, cater more to his more mature audience. He needs to quit fucking 25-year-olds, you know, and he's all of this. So apparently, when Joe Budden said all these things about Drake, Drake was upset. And so Drake penned a very scathing read. When I tell you the shit it was rough. Okay. When I read it, I was like, well, damn. All right. Maybe I'll give you just a little bit of it. Hold on. So he says, Joe Budden, you have failed at music. You left it behind to do what you're doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills. For any artist watching this, just remember you are watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter give their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switched careers because the things that pop into your brain had you broke, living check to check, and the raps you write had 450 men showing up to your shows in dusty Nietzsche jeans to screw up their face to mood music, 29, and pretend you are the GOAT. Plus, to any artist that's doing what they feel is right, please don't let these opinions affect your mindset after the fact. This guy is the poster child of frustration and surrendering. You retired and we never hung up your jersey. We don't even remember your number. We know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap not because you accomplished all you needed to do. It's because it wasn't working for you. I never want anybody in the generations to think that the whole everybody's entitled to their opinion is a real thing. This is a man projecting his own self-hate and the fact I did and continue to do everything he wanted to do for himself. If you need it, put it in simpler terms. I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions. Okay. I was just like, well, I mean, now we're not even just playing anymore, right? I mean, obviously he meant some of them things, if not everything that he said in that statement. And I was just like, and while what he said might all very well be true, it's just sort of like, Drake, for you to write this whole long thing and post it, you sound a little bothered. You sound a little bothered. And it might be because I think that Joe Budden, in all of his asshole ways, and I know a lot of people don't like Joe Budden and all, but Joe Budden a lot of times he's not lying. He speaks the truth, okay? And I can definitely see where maybe Drake might be putting out immature, juvenile type music to cater to, you know, his younger fans. So I don't think that Joe Budden was wrong in what he said. I mean, yes, he probably could have left out the quit fucking 25-year-olds, okay? But for the most part, I kind of feel like I agreed with Joe Budden that really you could stand to put out music that matches the caliber of music that you used to put out, and not just kind of microwave and fast feeding us this new music that goes along with the shit today that don't really stick, okay? It's just like the music is, we listening to it for now and then it just moves on to something else. And yeah, so it was just sort of like so he said that, and Joe Budden was just like shocked. He, you know, his response to that was just like, I don't know why he's so mad. Okay, I just said that he needs to step it up a little bit, and you know, but he was just like, nobody is happier for him than you know, than Joe is. He's happy for Drake and his success. He just wants him to do better. Okay, but yeah, apparently Joe Budden, Drake was in Joe Budden's DMs and was basically telling him that 25, fuck the 25, quit fucking the 25-year-olds. Like, that was the part that really made him upset. He said that he felt like Joe Budden wasn't keeping it journalistic, that he was putting more of his feelings into what he was saying and not necessarily telling the truth. Okay. But, you know, he just has like the reason why Drake feels bothered about it, or it seems like he's bothered about it, is because he's had a lot to say. You know, Drake normally doesn't have to say anything because Drake puts out his music and then everybody loves it. Okay. But the minute that he gets some pushback, now he's feeling like he has to defend himself and want to go back and forth with Joe Budden and all of this. And it's just sort of like, well, if he's getting all these reactions out of you, it may have touched a nerve. It may actually have been something that you recognize within yourself, but you feel embarrassed that somebody else has pointed it out for all of the rest of us to see, you know? So that may be what he was going through. But yeah, I just was like, I think that Drake is a little bothered. And I think that Drake might realize that he could have done better on this album. But he also knows that he wants to continue to make his money. He wants to continue to get new fans. He's got to still worry about his younger generation fans and, you know, the ones that are still listening to that music and all of that. So he has to remember that. So that is why he is still, you know, putting that kind of music out into. But now you've got these people over here who are just sort of like, okay, so, you know, now we got to hear you do raps with, you know, you hooking up with Sexy Red and y'all doing a duet, not a compilation, feature and all of this. So now we got to see you featured with all of these young female rappers. Okay, I feel like I've been talking about Sexy Red so much today. But, you know, just, yes, it's starting to feel gimmicky. It's starting to feel not like how we used to feel about Drake music. Or is it just me? You guys let me know if you guys see what I'm saying, you see what Joe Budden is saying, or are you on Drake's side, you know? Nobody is taking away all of the shit that Drake has accomplished, because Drake is a phenomenal rapper. He definitely has he has proven himself, okay? So I'm not saying nothing like that. All I'm saying is Drake is either you gonna just continue to put out your music and continue to not care what anybody thinks, or stop going back and forth with Joe Budden, because it's just making you seem like you are upset about the things that have been said. Okay? Alrighty.
Hey, baby, you a godsend, just missing the sandals. But still, you ain't missing much. Put your hands
up. Guys, so Carlee Russell, you guys remember her? She is the young lady that was in trouble for reporting a false kidnapping Remember, she supposedly had seen a baby walking on the side of the highway, and supposedly she pulled over to help the baby, and she was kidnapped. We found out that that was a lie, that was a hoax. We don't know where Carlee Russell was, but she showed up a couple of days later back at her house, okay, and, you know, soon after had to admit that she had lied. We don't know who helped her. We don't know where she was during that time, but she was never in danger. She was safe, and she was tucked away because her and her boyfriend were having issues, and she was trying to get attention from him. So all that backfired because the nation got involved in their relationship as well, and this kidnapping situation. And you know, we kind of used her as a spotlight for, well, you know, black women don't never get looked for, so let's make sure we all look for her. And then for it to blow up in our face when we found out that homegirl was, you know, wherever the hell she was, that she was okay. So yeah, people were pissed about it. People were saying that she needed to go to jail, you know, and that she needed to pay restitution and all of that. So she ended up having to go to court yesterday. And in court, the judge found, this was a municipal court in Alabama, and the judge found her guilty, okay, for faking her own kidnapping. Now, it's a misdemeanor charge. She did plead not guilty to it, but it was a misdemeanor charge of falsely reporting to law enforcement authorities and falsely reporting an incident. And so the judge actually is asking for 1 year in jail, and that she pays an $18,000, nearly $18,000 in restitution. Okay. Now, they don't want her to go to jail. I'm sure that that girl does not want to go to jail. Okay. And when she cooked all this up in her mind, she did not realize that she was going to go to jail if she got caught. Okay. She probably didn't think none of this out. And now, you know, she's finding herself might having to go to jail. Like, that is a terrifying thought. Like, just the thought of me going to jail, child, absolutely not. So yeah, she don't want to go. So her team, they are definitely going to appeal to it. The appeal process goes to a circuit court. Okay, so they're going to appeal to that judge and trying to get that maximum penalty of a year thrown out. They said that they okay with paying the $18,000 or whatever, the restitution, but they feel like the jail sentence is extensive and that it shouldn't be. I told you guys that I really honestly don't feel like the girl should go to jail, okay? But I know many of you guys feel that she should and are happy that she is. I just feel like the public humiliation, the embarrassment, and the money that she has to pay back, like, I feel like that is already a lot for her. You know, I feel like that is, you know, that's appropriate. Jail time, though, like in there with hardened criminals and all of that, yes, the girl needs to learn a lesson, but a year? I mean, damn, if we really gotta give her jail time, can we give her less time? I'm sure she will still learn that she shouldn't have done this with, I mean, a year is a long time, you guys. Just imagine all the holidays, okay? Just like no, I don't know. That's my bleeding heart, you guys. I know people be like, Roxanne, you just be too nice and you just be giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, and there's fucked up people out there and all. And I mean, I get it and everything, but y'all really truly feel that girl should go to jail? Well, you're going to be happy because as of now, she is going to jail unless they can appeal and get that changed. So, we'll see. That chapter of her life is over, and I guess Carlee Russell is probably happy to just move forward. What's the word on her and the boyfriend? Because I know he had a whole big, you know, meet and greet out here in Atlanta that I don't know, you know, how that turned out. But, you know, the whole rumor was that she was trying to get back together with her boyfriend, and then they went and set up a whole big party so he can meet a new girl. I'm telling you, people be so petty, child. But anyway, yeah, girl, hopefully, you know, we'll see what happens when they get to that circuit judge. But municipal was like, take that ass to jail.
On my back, just a different touch. Put your ass on my plate. I don't skip the lunch. I don't skip the brunch. Not the dinner neither. And we had a close.
All right, guys, next story, 50 Cent. Listen, 50 Cent is such, I mean, he's the king of trolling. He's the king of petty. He's an asshole. And I think these are all things that he knows about himself too, and he's used to people calling him that, so fine. But you guys know that 50 Cent is just continuing. He always talks about Puffy. Him and Puffy he just does not see it for Puffy. So he likes to make fun of Puffy. You know, he's kind of insinuated that Puffy might belong to the LGBTQIA community. He said that one time, you know, him and Puffy was talking and Puffy tried to tell him like, come on, let's go out on a date. Like, let me take you shopping. I'm sure the conversation didn't go quite the way that 50 said. But he's always making it seem like, you know, Diddy's like trying to hit on him or something. And not that there's anything wrong with, you know, if Diddy was gay or interested in 50 Cent. 50 Cent is not gay. So, I mean, there would be a problem there. But what I'm saying is, I mean, that's not really, you're not, what's the word? You're not insulting a person by calling them gay. But it is an insult to call a person, it is an insult to insinuate that a straight person is like down low gay in the closet kind of thing, you know? So that's what 50, he always uses that. Well, his newest thing now is he's saying that Tupac was killed by Puffy, and that Puffy needs to lawyer up because when Keefe D was arrested, you guys remember there was talk about Keefe D telling the investigators that Puffy had paid $1 million to have Suge and Tupac killed. Okay. Puffy has never been, I'm sure he's probably been, you know, had to talk to the police and all of that, but he's never been formally charged or brought in on anything. So, you know, and honestly, with all that shit that was going on, I really didn't believe that Puffy was involved. You know, Puffy was never really a gangster. I mean, not never really. Puffy wasn't a gangster. Now, he was a street dude, of course. He was, you know, he was being raised by his mom, and his dad was a hustler and all of that. So he had some of that in his background. But Puffy really was not that kind of a kid growing up and all of that. So I just never thought that Puffy would have tried to get them killed. All right. And that's why I think that he's never really been formally charged for anything or even brought in witnesses, any of that kind of stuff. But of course, Puffy don't want to talk about that kind of shit. So, you know, they always say that Puffy has notoriously escaped being charged for anything that had to do with Tupac's death. Well, of course, he's not going to want to talk about that because that was a very violent, it was a wild time back then. I mean, the East Coast, West Coast beef was so strong. You wouldn't even it was really, really tense back then. Okay. Nothing like that happens anymore. So I'm sure Puffy wants to keep all of that in the background, all of that behind him, not having to deal with him. So he's not going to really be talking about the times when there was all that beef between Pac and Big, you know, and going back and forth. Like, let's just let sleeping dogs lie. But now with this Keefe D thing coming up, now Puffy's name is back in the mix and everything. And of course, 50 Cent is going to use that to, you know, to make it look like Puffy is just really just doing a whole lot out there. But no, I don't believe that Puffy was involved. I believe as much as they wanted to blame that murder on somebody, that if they had an idea that Puffy was involved, that they would have definitely kept the scope on him and brought him down if they could, you know. So no, I don't think that. But yeah, definitely 50 Cent, you know, even if he does or doesn't believe it, he's making sure that he says it, because there's some people out there that do believe it, you know, and that'll just bring more shit onto Puffy. I know Puffy's sick of 50 too. That 50 is a mess, child. Next story.
A centimeter, getting in between this on YouTube turned up. Never turn down though when it's big energy when I come around though. So don't ever switch. Know you've been looking, won't find it like this.